who in your opinion would be the best president of the United States and why, excluding Washington, Lincoln, and Reagan?
Who was the best president of the United
Yeah.
States?
In your
No,
opinion.
but not Washington, Lincoln, or Reagan.
In your opinion?
Well, I hesitate to say
Trick
James
question.
Polk, but Polk is a hidden gem in my opinion. He's one I would mention. I guess I would also consider Jefferson, again, is one that I would consider a great president. Those are two that come to mind. In terms of the last century or the last 110 years, I'm a Reagan guy for a lot of reasons. Those are three that I think that are very admirable in what they achieved and their personal qualities too.
Under what conditions may the federal government take control of a private business? By the way, I'm Faye Hendon.
Hi, Faye. If they're criminal, if they're behaving in a criminal manner, perhaps, where they have to enforce a criminal law, and they go through the due process of law that allows them to do so. If there is such a law, there are forfeiture laws that are out there for certain criminal activity, but that would be about it as far as I'm concerned. Basically, it comes down to this: if a company is endangering the public by their actions, there should be, if there is no other civil remedy that is apparent for those afflicted, which is an underrated remedy, by the way. To rely on the government to fix all problems is inefficient. So you know, there's not many. I guess in times of war, if the country is at an extreme emergency, maybe perhaps there might be an excuse. But generally, again, that's what they fought the Revolutionary War about. You know, that wouldn't happen. That human beings would be free and their businesses would be free from government interference that was unreasonable, and certainly seizing a company is unreasonable. Now, in terms of our current financial situation, with the Federal Reserve essentially being a very influential actor in the financial industry, which does, unfortunately, through their action, cause on occasion financial bankruptcies. You know, I don't really like the too big to fail concept at all, but you know, there has been arguments made that there are appropriate instances for seizure of a business there. But even then, I'm not inclined to support that concept because, well, that goes into a whole different issue. The Federal Reserve, which probably would take about 5 more minutes. So my answer is I really can't think of very many. I can think of it as cases where maybe the federal government should act in an emergency manner if the public safety and health is threatened, and for instance, a bankrupt company is refusing to stop a imminent pollution. For instance, a backlog of polluted water might be threatened to break through a dike or something like that. Maybe the government could come in and take care of the problem, but that's not really a seizure. So I'm struggling to come up with any examples at all that I would support a seizure.
What are your concerns about illegal immigration and its effects on the United States? Do you agree or disagree with what Arizona is doing?
Well, you know what? It reminds me of when Tsarist Russia failed. Tsarist Russia failed because when the Winter Palace was seized, they were so broke they had no bullets in their guns. And essentially what we have in that situation is a government that totally failed. On the border, the federal government is failing its most fundamental task of governments. That is to act like a nation. And every night, in every home, we see an example of a government that is incapable of doing its relatively simple constitutional task, and that is very, very dispiriting to the American people, and very disillusioning to the American people, and very emotionally damaging to the American people. And that issue is just aggravating. At least, I would estimate, 80% of the public that cares about has any semblance of care about the political environment. It's craziness to allow that to happen. Arizona, their gesture is a symbolic gesture of frustration, and I support it 100%. But the real issue is for the federal government to do its job, period. And it needs to do it, because the people are starting to feel that we're Tsarist Russia and the Bolsheviks are at the gates. Hi.
Hi. I'm Kathy Doney.
Hi, Kathy.
If elected to replace Norm Dix, would you be in favor of repealing Obamacare? And where would you put that on your priority list?
When I'm elected to Congress, I am in favor of repealing Obamacare, and it is up towards the top. Because again, what is my big issue? The big issue is the unconstitutional seizure of power by the federal government that has invaded every hour of our days. And the Health Care Act is just another example of it. The federal government wants to have your medical records. They want to know everything about you. And they want to tell you when you can go to the doctor and when you can't. And they want to tell you ultimately when you can die. And so it has to be extremely attacked, in my opinion. It will fail. Because whenever you have a situation like this, where you're promised more goods and services for less money, there will be one of two results, or both. There will be rationing, or there will be coercion. Period. And rationing and coercion is not what I want in my doctor's office.
How will you ensure that you won't become a country club Republican by representing only special interests that will pad your pocket?
I'm not trying to go to Washington and become a country club Republican. I have a wonderful, wonderful life right now. And it was a hard decision for me to even think about giving that up to go to Washington, D.C. This is the way I look at it. I feel very strongly about what I say when I speak of political issues. I feel very strongly. This goes all the way back to when I was a very young child. And it goes way back beyond that in our family. We have accumulated grudges through the years that need to be taken care of. And those grudges are the grudges we all have as we've lost our liberties or have been unfairly had our dreams crushed by those who have the power that really belongs to us. So it's not going to happen. That's not what I'm going there for. I'll tell you, this way I look at it. You know, this is exactly how I look at it. It's like trying to get a date with the prettiest girl in class. You finally get it, and you never get to kiss her. That's what giving up your principles is to me.